our pride. ZG and E will take you on this ride, week by week, side by side. It's section 1, 2, 3, we're the rowdiest in town. The Pirates, Game, and Uncle Dave, and Big Fudge all around. We sing our songs, we chant as one. Through thick and thin, the match day's just begun. In the North End, we stand together through every game, through any weather. From the first whistle to the final blow, the North End will never let go. In the lights of Q2, our home, our sacred ground. In green and black, we fight, our voices loud and proud. Driussi's magic, Bakari's speed, Stuva's saving grace. With every goal we score, the lights turn Verde, it's our place. So knows the mastermind, building our dream. Dan rules everything around me, as he strengthens our team. Let Roto cook, he's got the perfect recipe. Austin FC, our heart and soul forever will. In the North End, we stand together, through every game, through any weather. From the first whistle to the final blow, the North End will never let go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the North End Podcast, episode 179. My name is Zach Graham, your host here in the North End, joined, as always, by my good buddy. He's on record as my best friend. His name is Ian Michaud, and we call him He's sitting here Thursday afternoon, victorious Austin, Texas. A lot to get to today, so we'll go ahead and dispense with the pleasantries. How you feeling, my friend?
Not too great. COVID for the third time here, so that has put quite the damper on my celebration after this Portland victory. And who knew that the thing that was holding Austin back the most was me predicting wins every single game. So I apologize, y'all. If it's E out now, I accept my fate. I understand, but any way we can take a win, any way we can get a win, we will take it.
Yeah, Lil Zestradamus on Sunday, right? With the 1-0. Felt good about that one. So role reversal. And then I'm sitting over here testing. I've got all kinds of allergies and stuff, so I don't know if I have COVID or not. Most recent test says no. But we'll keep it pushing here, right? The show must go on. And it did certainly go on last night. Austin FC defeating the Portland Timbers on the road 1-0. We'll recap that match. We got a number of Austin FC news items to discuss. We'll check in on the best keeper in the world. We also got to preview the Saturday match at the Galaxy. And then what I think is being deemed as Dose-cision Day for FC Toe, right? That's coming up Sunday, so we'll preview the showdown against the Town FC as well. Before we get into today's episode, just want to remind you all listening or watching on the YouTube that the best way to support the show is by downloading the audio version of this episode wherever you get your podcasts. And wherever you get your podcasts usually has a little option to toggle on auto downloads. You do that for the North End Podcast. You can support the show going forward without having to think about it further. If you want to go the extra mile, you can rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast on those platforms. And then if you are watching on the YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button. That also helps us grow the show. You can hit the notification bell to know when a live stream pops up or a new episode goes live. And of course, on this episode, hit that thumbs up, like the video. Help us battle the YouTube algorithm overlords. Atone for your sins. Wash yourselves clean in the waters of the North End. Let's start with some of that news that I mentioned because I believe it was Tuesday morning. Sportico drops an article that says the owners of Austin FC are exploring a minority stake sale, according to multiple people familiar with the details. The club has retained Inner Circle Sports to assist with the process, said the people who were granted anonymity because the matter is private. Majority owner Anthony Precourt is not looking to sell his controlling stake, said the sources, and Austin FC would use the proceeds to pay down debt and for growth initiatives at the club. So it's unclear exactly whose equity is on the market, and there's no guarantee a transaction takes place. Representatives for both the club and Inner Circle Sports declined to comment. So, I mean, ultimately, I don't think this will mean a ton for fans like you and I, but it's interesting nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that come across. I don't know where I saw it first, probably Reddit, but I was a little, it piqued my interest just a little bit there. And seeing that, Tony doesn't want to get rid of his majority stake was probably the most important thing for me in that regard. And just another thing that we're going to have to see play out. And I anticipate it playing out as it will.
Yeah. Well, I mean, despite the lack of winning the last 2 years and 3 of the 4 years that the club has been in existence, I also don't think for those money guys at the top, like, right, if you are in that sort of world, this is right. Like, some of it's an investment, but also some of it is like, this is a toy because you just kind of rule the world. So, like, I don't think they'll have trouble probably getting some folks to buy in, right, who are so inclined. But we'll see. Obviously, we'll get that news if and when it comes. And you mentioned you probably saw it on Reddit. One thing we did see on Reddit this past week was sent to us by one of our buddies in the group chat. Man, shout out. I don't know who Reddit user Heart Soda from HEB is, but very, very kind words posted along with a link to our previous episode on the Austin FC subreddit. So that was really cool to see. As we said in our response there from our pod account on Reddit, it was a nice little pick-me-up, in the middle of this last month of just absolutely shit fandom.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's hard to say how much it means because there can be a lot of negativity flying around the space. And just to see some kind words from people who support and enjoy what we do, the fact that we put in this time and effort is always, it feels really good and it's rewarding. So shout out to whoever you are. Very much appreciate it.
Yeah, and Liz on Instagram, who also sent us a message that we just saw today. Appreciate both of those folks and everybody else, of course, who supports our work here in the North End. All right, so let's get back to some of the news that was more pertinent to last night's match at Portland. The first one for me was waking up Tuesday morning and seeing our number 10 posting more, it's just like kind of diva-esque. It's like falls short of elite wide receiver behavior for me, right? But like, but Seba posted an Instagram story and it would look like some sort of like horoscope type of deal that was in Spanish, but then like when translated read something like this. And the quote was, "And when you least expect it, karma will come and put the entire world in their place. The people who have looked at you this year with bad eyes and jealousy will see you very clearly." And so look, man, I don't know if this is directed at fans or at teammates or at coaches or at who the fuck knows who else, right? But like, it just continues I don't know, man. Like, again, people can, players, professional athletes, whatever, they can post what they want, but it just makes me as a fan feel like his mind is elsewhere outside of like what we have been trying to do and what still remains in this season, right? This shit has been over since the Houston loss in our books in terms of the probability of making the playoffs. But I don't know, man. It's just, I just don't like to see it. Like, it could be better, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems unnecessary. And, also it could just be something in his personal life as well.
For sure.
And of course, but like, you got to understand the people who are following you closely and putting you under a microscope are picking up on these things, using them to either, talk shit about you or make some sort of opinion of you. And that's how they're going to take it every single time. And it's just something that seems continuously unnecessary. And you add into the fact that he had his little Twitter, tantrum a while ago, and it just doesn't seem great, but at least he responded last night and played very, very well, in my opinion. So that's really all we're going to ask from him. And like, we can't be social media censorship police here or anything like that, but you're just putting more pressure on yourself. And if that's something that you want and something that motivates you and gets you going a little bit more, then like, great. Okay. That's good for you. You just have to understand how other people are going to interpret it. And I don't think anyone is out of bounds to be like, okay, well, that seems like a shot at people who have been saying negative things about him. But like, this is part of the job description, man. When you're a professional athlete, people are going to have opinions, and those opinions usually should not matter to you because they're just sitting behind a computer screen or chatting in a podcast like we are, like this and everything. And it's just like, bro, like, you are on to bigger and better things. You are doing awesome things with your life. And, we all want your focus to be on the team. And like I said, it could be a personal thing. So I'm just going to leave it at that because he played really well last night. And that's all I really give a shit about.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad, like, you and I didn't even really talk about Seba's play last night before we hit record. You took the words right out of my mouth. I think he played quite well. Again, maybe just like relative to the bar we've seen of late, which has not been the Driussi we've come to know over the first, 3-ish years that he's been here. And with you, man, like, it feels like you're giving more like chum kind of in the water to those people who are or have been criticizing you.
People keep receipts. They're gonna, the first time you fall off or have a poor game, they're gonna pull it back up. So like, that's the only thing that to me is just like, it just doesn't make sense for him and his mental well-being and going forward, his mentality.
Don't engage us. Like the fan base, not us, not you and me, but like, don't do that, especially when it's negative stuff. It's just, doesn't make it easier on anybody involved from where I'm sitting. So let's get also to Coach Wolf's media availability before the team took off for the West Coast. And let's zero in on one specific portion of Josh's presser where he gave a little bit of an injury update. And here was the quote. He said, Mikkel Dessler is probably questionable. He came out the other night. He's had a little something going on. And then coach continued to say, Leo Väisänen has been training and he's looked good, but he has a little bit of discomfort in his foot. So he's decided to shut it down for the rest of the season. Now I want to preface this conversation with just kind of a reminder that Leo was dealing with plantar fasciitis earlier this year, right? It was game 1, I think. Or maybe it was even like a couple games into the season where it was his debut. I just remember it was like right off the bat. Yeah. Leo goes down. Plantar fasciitis is not good. And it can be a bitch to get rid of or heal right. And so, but then I also know that he's been inserted into games, of late, right? Like he's been available and coach said that he was cleared, right? By the medical staff, by the athletic trainers. And decided to shut it down. Josh could have misspoken there, but the way I read it is that I don't know how that could be a slip up, how that could be a mistake. It feels very pointed to me that Coach Wolf feels some type of way about Leo's decision, right? And I don't fault him for maybe a desire to have a transfer out of the club, maybe back closer to home, right, in Europe in the offseason. And that's fine. Like he's well within his right to do that. But again, it feels like a very pointed decision to bring it up now with 3 games to go and put it out there that Leo himself has decided to shut it down. And look, man, and he has just as much of a platform to come out and speak about that if he feels like coach misrepresented what is going on there. We've got other guys on the team that have no qualms sharing their feelings, veiled or not. So look, man, until I get more information about this, I also feel some type of way about that. And if that's what Leo has decided to do, then yes, get out of here in the offseason. You can, exit stage right, man. And again, no ill will from me, but that's not something I take kindly to, whether it was when I was playing, when I was coaching, or even just in fandom here. I know you had strong thoughts about it as well.
I mean, I don't think there's any other way to interpret it as Josh was choosing his words carefully there. Because if it was something that was a collective decision that came down from Roto, you talked about it with Leo's camp, you talked about it with the coaching staff, the athletic staff, and everything, then I think you would absolutely say we in that situation and probably follow it up with something along the lines of, we thought this was the best decision for everyone involved. To me, this is coming straight from Leo's camp. And look, man, I'm going back to, I don't know which episode it was at this point in time, but like I'm going back to when I said I wasn't ready to give up on Leo yet, despite the fact that he has played absolutely awful in the time that he has actually been out there on the pitch, arguably cost us 3 points versus the LAFC juggernaut that we played a really excellent game against. And now for this to come out and for it to be like, so, I mean, this is just so clear to me that like he is done. He's shutting it down. And you saw the guy's performance last night and continue to be bought in and continue to want to see this thing through till the end. And for him to be this kind of outsider outcast where it's like, I'm done. I want out of here. I understand that, dude. Like if you're feeling some sort of way about your playing time, your role on this team or whatever, and you want to be gone.
His foot is probably a legitimate concern, right? If you get injured, then like it might be harder for you to find a new home in the offseason, but
it doesn't seem like the right way to go about it. I mean, it just seems to me that there's no other way to interpret this other than he shut himself down here with the help of his team and his agent, whoever he's got working with him as well. And like, that's just so incredibly disappointing. I mean, our first ever, sound bite with the actual club is when they're showing Leo get off the plane, and we're like, oh yes, dude, like we got our CB1 here, like he's coming in, we're all amped up for him and everything like that. And for it to play out the way it has, where like he just has not met the expectations of the team, the coaching staff, and I assume himself. And like some things like go into that with like your injuries and things like that. And I know he's been dinged up in the past, but when you see this to me is a level of softness. This takes a little bit of credence away from, oh, I've been hurt, I've been injured, because coach went out of his way to say he's looked good in training and he's been training, but he's decided to shut this thing down. So absolutely get out, get the fuck out. Like we cannot, with where this team is, a lot of dudes could have done this. And that just speaks, a lot of dudes could have done this. And like, that just speaks to Leo's character right now. And I don't even think it's a good move for his career. And like, obviously you can spin this however you want if you're his agent and talk about the coaching staff and management and how it was not really a good situation. But like, this is shitty, man. Like, this is just a really, really shitty move by him. And if that's the way that he feels, then I don't want him anywhere around the team.
Yeah. Well, and like, look, man, we, again, after the road victory, right, the tradition is we get that locker room picture. And I don't think the team posted it, but I saw Stuver posted it. And we'll reference that photo multiple times throughout the pod, but I thought it was notable. Mikkel Dessler did not play last night. He was on the trip, right? And so there's an explanation for that, right? He was questionable coming in. Maybe he had a chance to play. Matt Bersano was also on the trip, right? So, like, they brought, I think, everybody but Leo. To my knowledge, outside of those guys that are contracted with the first team and are, going to be with FCito this weekend, making that final push for the playoffs. So again, I just think until we have any more clarity on the situation, that's how I interpret it. And I would invite anybody, right, to comment and join in on this conversation if you have a different interpretation of what coach said or what's going on here.
Do you think we're going to get that? Because I don't.
Probably not.
I think this was the final blow right here where it was like, he's gone, he's out, he's not playing anymore, and like just keep him away from the team. I don't expect to see him for these last 2 games, and I expect him to be gone come 2025. Yeah,
it might be the last time we hear from or about him until you get the press release. Leo has been transferred to X club. We'll keep our eyes on that as well. Let's get into last night's match, right? Let's have some fun here. Let's smile a little bit. First victory, right? You get the victory song at the beginning of the pod for the first time since fucking August. Right? So you get the double victory song today. You bookend the pod with that thing. So Dessler, the only player that popped up on that injury report headed into Wednesday's match, listed questionable, ended up being inactive. But I think we have some things to discuss here about the lineup too, E, because some of the things that you and I both agreed that we wanted to see out of this starting 11 did come to pass. Danny Pereira back there in the midfield. Alexander Svatak gets a start, right? His second in an Austin FC uniform. And we got a true forward striker, whatever you want to say, Diego Rubio in there at the top. So that full lineup, and I guess I shouldn't get to the full lineup before I also say, right, that meant Brendan Heinzike went to the bench. Matt Hedges was active. So again, we did have those 4 true center backs available. Jean Kolmanich with Dessler inactive. Jean is active there on the bench. And the name that probably surprised pretty much everybody that was missing from the starting 11 was our captain, Alex Ring, which meant that Brad Stuver in net was wearing the armband. That back line was Gallagher, Cascante, Svatak, and Biru. The Punisher was in the midfield with Danny and Seba. Hadar Obrian on the left, Osman Bukhari on the right with Diego Rubio up top. On the bench, like I mentioned, Heinzike, Hedges, Cleveland, Hector Jimenez, Jean Kolmanich, Alex Ring, Owen Wolf, Ethan Finley, Jassy Zardes. So pick a spot, any spot, to start talking about this.
I'll start with Alex. You know, and initially I wanted to try to read into this a little more, probably more than I should have, because obviously we have the clip of Alex kind of dispatching the armband, throwing it on the ground, and Seba needing to pick it up and kind of giving him a look like, yeah, hey, man, like, why are you being a dickhead?
Yeah.
Which we know Alex Ring can be. And that's part of the reason why we love Alex Ring, because he does have a dickhead quality that shows out on the field.
You need some of those.
And you need those kind of guys and everything like that. Then I kind of calmed down and looked back at it, and it's like we have this Galaxy game coming up as well. Alex, obviously an integral part of this rotation, an older kind of player. You probably want to have him ready to go versus a Galaxy team like that. So I'll hold off on that. You know, I don't think it was something that was like disciplinary or anything like that. Then you see Owen. I'll go to Owen second. And I think that was probably a direct result of his absolutely terrible play. It's escaping me who he played awful against. Yeah.
Who did we? Oh, RSL.
Yes. So like I think that was him getting benched because of how bad he was and how bad he looked. And I know that we talked about that in depth, that he wasn't really getting any favors thrown his way because 10 might have gone a little bit rogue in that first half of that game. But I do think that he got benched because of performance, which led to Blonde John Valencia getting out there. Looking good, Joji. So it's like those two are the two biggest things standing out to me. Obviously, we've been calling for Svatak. Everyone's been calling for Svatak. You see the immediate impact with him. We're going to have to talk about not only his fantastic play, but his willingness to throw it into the fire for his teammates and be right there, brother. And it's like, we've been missing that. We've been missing that type of leader on the back line since the departure of Gabrielson. So like, I was all about that. You called for a true striker. You get Diego in there. I was totally fine with that. And I think I touched on everything there.
Yeah. You know, you mentioned earlier, right, that when we were lucky enough to be on that like preseason hype video talking about Leo being our CB1 coming in, we were so excited to have him pair with Julio. I think we got a CB1 now in Spot Talk. The only other thing I would touch on is Alex Ring, where like I think maybe a response to a guy like that being on the bench, and you like, right, you brought up like we've got this Galaxy game less than 72 hours after this one ends. It's not just that the goal differential that we need to make up, right, which is now down to 18. It's not just that is unattainable, really, you know, in any sort of reality, but you also still have to adhere to what the physios and the performance team are saying in terms of like you mentioned, Alex is an older player. There's another game coming up. We just played one. He played near the full 90 on Saturday. So those considerations, whether it's must win or not, those still have to be taken into account, right?
Yeah.
The coaching staff is not all of a sudden going to discard the opinions of the medical professionals they have on the team, you know, and put somebody like Alex at risk, or any player at risk.
Do we think that there was something going on with Pep?
In terms of from not starting the previous two games
to getting in here. I think the more definitive answer, I guess I'll answer my own question here. I think the more definitive answer with both Pep and Alex is going to come on Saturday. We'll see.
Okay.
We'll get more context here of what's actually going on, but was absolutely thrilled to have him in the lineup and obviously get the goal out of him.
Yeah, obviously had a huge impact. Let's go ahead. Almost 25 minutes in here on episode 179. Let's get to this one for the recap. We'll start in the 6th minute where Osman Bukhari, he wins a free kick here on the right side of the box, and him and Danny kind of line up over it, and they discuss it, and Danny ends up taking it, and he flicks it right towards Driussi at that near post, and he gets his head to it wide right of net. The flag was up anyways, and that frustrated me in the moment because it's like, man, like just a little bit more discipline there, right? We can't be taking these chances away from ourselves. It's different in the context of what happened, but like it reminded me of like Julio running through Chicho last Saturday and wasting that set piece attempt where like this wasn't it's kind of similar, right? Again, we need to have those chances because we generate so few throughout the season. And like that kind of happened last night, right? Where you look at the end of this game, 26 shots to 7. And a theme that popped up for me in the notes on the rewatch is like, we should have had double the shots because there's so many breaks where we just don't get a shot off. And obviously that's not a new issue for this team, but man, is it frustrating.
It's incredibly frustrating, and particularly when you look at the team we were playing against who give up an absurd amount of set-piece goals. I'm pretty sure they lead the league in goals conceded off corners, and they are one of the lowest-ranking teams off of giving up goals off set pieces like this. I can't make it a one-to-one comparison with Julio because at least if you're going off sides here in this situation, you're trying to do something beneficial for the team, whereas Julio was just trying to absolutely demolish somebody in his path there. But a good start. And this was a really good looking chance. Obviously it would have been called back, but I was pretty satisfied with how it looked despite the fact that it was offsides here.
9th minute, ball over the top from Julio towards Obrian trying to get in behind, but Maxime Crépeau comes out, headed clearance, and he's outside of the box. That kind of floats and falls right to Diego Rubio, who tries to chip him from 35-ish yards. It goes wide left, but I appreciate the attempt.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think one thing that we're going to have to get into, and I don't know if it's going to come up later in your notes that you have here, is that we were asking and calling for Julio to kind of be in that BHI slot that we saw versus RSL, where it was like BHI delivering the balls, and he was terrible at getting the ball to our team. I mean, he had at least 4 to 5 turnovers where he just kicked the ball directly to Portland. So I was pretty upset with the way that he was delivering balls and everything like that. But with this attempt from Diego, I guess hindsight is 2020. I thought he might have had a little more time to bring this down and do something a little more creative, but I can't fault him for going for it.
Yeah, and I do recall some of those, especially some of those like kind of sweeping, like changing balls from right to left where, there's just not nearly enough power on it. I don't know if it was windy in Portland or not last night, but
but after the second one, okay, let's stop doing it. Because it was not getting there.
Yeah. Or just like make the adjustment, right? I'd rather see you wind up and kick it all the way out of bounds than instead of the same one that ends up 10 yards short of the target. I don't know. 13th minute, I did want to note here, one-on-one situation from Santiago Moreno and Svatok, and I thought it was good D by Svatok to usher that play towards the end line and win a goal kick ultimately. 22nd minute, Danny gets a yellow card, and I thought the yellow card to Danny was probably warranted. For his outburst, right? I think he kind of like throws his fist kind of towards upset. But I'm not upset at him getting upset because Ayala for Portland, after the whistle, very clearly just takes a step, kicks the ball into the stands to delay. And I don't know, man, everything I've seen at the MLS level, the next pro level, catching some Premier League games, shit like you do that, it's an automatic yellow. And I thought the head official, Alexis De Silva, was horrific last night. That said, I don't think he affected the outcome of the match, but I thought the lack of keeping this game under control from a discipline perspective, F plus. It was horrific.
It was one of the most poorly officiated games I have ever seen. It was awful. And I feel like I don't want to like be hyperbolic and like talk, like say that so often and everything like that. But like this was atrocious, astoundingly bad. And for Portland to walk out of this game with 0 yellow cards after he was calling all kinds of fouls on them, particularly in this first half, you have this happen. They're frustrated. We're incredibly frustrated. I also do not fault Danny for losing his cool here because this was stunningly obvious that it was a yellow card and that it needed to be drawn here. Jumping back to your point on Svatak in the box there, I want to say that I thought the defense as a whole showed a lot of discipline inside the box to not concede a PK last night because that has been a thorn in our side. And there was all kinds of opportunities for this Portland team to get a PK drawn, particularly with the amount of talent that they have on that side of the ball, on the offensive side of the ball, with that trio of just ridiculous goal scorers who, as 3 players, have outscored our entire team throughout the course of the season. So I thought that the discipline, it started with Svatak. And I think the most important thing, as well as he played last night, is that this dude is a leader. Like he is a leader. He has a strong voice. He's confident. He's willing to talk to guys and tell them where to be and everything like that. And then he backs it up with his own effort plays. And you saw that on display right from the rip with him. And I love having him in the center of that defensive unit, man, because this dude is a fucking stud. And I hope that this quote doesn't get clipped and they throw it over a Svatak video. And then we have to say, get out of here a year later or anything like that. So I was incredibly impressed with his performance last night and the defensive unit as a whole. To shut this team out, and I know that there was some fortunate plays, and that happens in soccer throughout the course of a game, but to shut this team out and to limit them the way that we did, that's an A+.
Is it too lofty of an expectation that Svatak will be wearing the armband next year?
It crossed my mind as we were bringing him up here because, like I said,
he was the captain at Dnipro.
This is a voice that is going to be respected in the backfield. And I brought it up versus RSL that as soon as he came in that game, despite the fact that it was the 88th minute of that game, as soon as he came in that game, he's pointing guys, he's telling guys where to go, making the adjustments from what he's been seeing. And that is absolutely what you want to get out of a captain. And then you see, obviously, later on, and I know, this image has been circulated, and it's a fantastic image, and we got some cute little nicknames for him and quotes to throw out here, but everything like that. But, like, that wasn't for show. That was, don't fuck with my guys. You know what I mean? Like, anyone can be boisterous, kind of puff your chest out when it doesn't really matter, but that was not a display of just, like, arrogance there. He was like, he saw it coming, and he made sure that it was rectified right then and there. So, I was just incredibly impressed with him last night, and still confused as to why he wasn't getting these starts beforehand because we saw it on display last night.
Yeah. And we'll certainly talk more about that specific play, but I just wanted to note here before we move on that because obviously you and I were planning on watching the match together last night, but COVID stay apart. So like I used the opportunity watching by myself to like take some notes as we watch the game live, which is not what I usually do. As a first half hour, I think Osman Bukhari is playing his worst game by far, I guess, outside of getting the red card against Pumas. But like that was discipline. This is like performance. And I think there are a couple of things that still I have to complain about here from the Bretos Dunseth commentary team. I think they were spot on talking about like you can see his confidence dwindling as the first half went on. And I really hope that over the next 2 games that some of that can be turned around headed into the offseason.
I really, really hope so because he was absolutely the worst player on the field last night for Austin. And I don't even think it was relatively close. He was horrible. And like I'm blowing your phone up repeatedly, just like what is this guy fucking doing out here? And I want to say that I would love to have sit here and say, he kind of shifted it and changed his mentality, but like even on the goal, and we're going to get into it and I want to talk about it, he was absolutely awful last night. And for somebody like, with 10, where we're talking about like things that he said and everything, for him, who could have come in and say, all we need to do is stick together and we're going to win every single game. Well, bro, you made sure that you were not a part of the togetherness last night in a game where we looked particularly tight knit because we really needed it. And I thought he was horrible. And I know we'll get into his substitution as well coming up. And I was incredibly just devastated watching him be horrible.
Yeah. I mean, it is here in the 30th minute. There's a pretty good buildup here by Austin, and Driussi plays what I thought was a pretty darn good ball in for Obrian. Nicely timed run down that left side or into the penalty area. And then Obi plays a pass towards that near post, and that gets cleared out for a long throw. But after the clearance, it looks like both Obi and Diego are motioning to Osman, like, make the near post run. Like, that's you. And again, like, some of that maybe we're just still not up to speed in terms of the chemistry between him and the rest of these guys. But at the same time, I think we know, even though with the lack of goal contributions, right? We've only got 2 from him since his debut, but we've seen him play so much better and be so much more confident and crisp with his movements, with his decision making. And that has deteriorated over the last 2 or 3 games. And again, like, I just want to see, like I do from the team as a whole and a number of the other players, I just want to see some of the positive momentum going into the offseason so you can build on that over the winter months. So that's something to watch going forward for me over the next 2 weeks.
Absolutely. And this was absolutely his run. And this is a run that he has made in the past and that we haven't capitalized on. Like you said, we only got the 2 goal contributions out of him. And like, look, like, I understand that we still need to develop chemistry between him and the other guys. And I have talked about the fact that I think his speed is something that we just haven't had in such a long time. And also his ability to just be on the ball in a one-on-one situation. And you just kind of have to watch him because, like, he's more often than not, he has done something really fantastic with the ball. That was not the case last night. It was not the case versus RSL. And I think we got a little clarification and clarity on why we're seeing him being subbed out in the 67 and 66 minutes of these games going forward here. But man, it was incredibly frustrating to watch him do almost nothing and really hurt his team last night.
38th minute here. This extremely dangerous counter by Portland after their press kind of forced Obi, like, from the final third all the way past midfield. Then he turns it over, and like, it really felt like in the moment, like a here we go again type of play. But I think it was good defense by Biru, who's out of position now on the right. And you've got John Gallagher in the middle of that back line on this specific play. And credit to Obrian himself for recovering. And he's the one that ends up jarring the ball loose from behind to stop this breakaway. But it was a notable puckering of my bung there.
Absolutely. And like, you give that Portland team a chance in transition like that. I do want to say our transitional defense was a highlight for me last night because we were caught in a couple situations where we really had to get your ass back and like get in front of these dudes, and we were able to do it. Like I said, shutting this team out is no easy task, and we were able to take care of it.
Yeah. 40th minute, Obrian does pick up a yellow here for pulling on Chara. And then he's super upset because, again, the lack of the yellow cards going the other way, when I think the physicality and the fouls called in the first half was pretty even, but the cautions were not. 2 minutes later. Yeah,
sorry,
go ahead.
It was just so odd because there was like a 10-minute stretch where this dude was calling everything. And then that just went out the fucking window after we, and then we get this yellow card to Obrian here as well, who like, it's a yellow card, dude. Like, it's 100% a yellow card. So I'm assuming
textbook
that his anger was directed at the fact that we were not getting that same fucking call, and you have to be making that same call if you're the referee.
42nd minute, Osman has it again on that right side of the Portland penalty area, and he dances on Ayala and like opens up plenty of space, but doesn't take it. And again, that's where it's like, okay, he's just confidence is on empty right now.
Why?
Yeah, no, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, there's like, right, pressure on yourself, pressure from teammates, pressure from fans, right? Pressure because of the price tag. Like, I understand all that, but that's your job. That's the situation you find yourself in, right? So like, again, I'm looking for him to step up. Let's finish out this play because he doesn't take that space, but he cycles it back to Driussi, and Seba puts in a cross that gets cleared up into the air by a Timbers defender, and it falls to Osman again inside the penalty area, kind of pops it to himself over a defender and gets to the end line. And I will say this for him, man. He gets shoved out of bounds right here. And there are multiple calls from his teammates for a foul. We've seen in the past, I want to say the Poyo game at DC in 2022, there was a very similar foul there on the end line that actually resulted in the red card in that game. It seemed very similar to me. No luck on the foul call, though, but the ball that got cleared out there after the shove stays in Austin's possession. Danny brings it down. And kind of Gallagher kind of gets out of his way as he drives towards the middle. And he uncorks a shot towards the near post, but the shot deflects off Kamal Miller and goes to the far post into the net. And we'll fucking take it, man.
We will absolutely fucking take it, considering the amount of deflected balls that we have had gone into the back of our net, particularly when Stuver's been in great situations to save these. I was just super proud of Danny and happy for the fact that he was willing to take this shot, which we have seen him hesitate before in taking. So like, this is why you want to try to get those shots on net and just like make something happen. And you get a deflection here, very fortuitous, and it beats the Portland keeper. And like, here we go. Like, now we're feeling great. You're just like 5 minutes before half. You're about to go into half up 1-0 potentially. So like, this is what we wanted to do. And I'm so happy for Pep. Because obviously, like we've been talking about what's been going on with him. Why is he not starting? Why is he not in these games? And for him to come in here and get his first goal of the season in a dramatic fashion like this was so good to see.
Second minute of stoppage. Portland wins a free kick here from an eerie similar spot to me as the same one that he, devastated us with that wonder strike at Q2 earlier this year, but denied by Stuver. Great two-handed save. And we go into the half with the lead. Coming out of the half, Zuparic in the 47th minute on an Austin counter just blasts Driussi. Free shot. And again, the announcers see it live as well. Like, I'm sitting there by myself screaming in the living room, the fucking foul. And Alexis De Silva, again, the head official, doesn't go to his pocket after the game is stopped because Seba stayed down, I think rightfully so. And I just, at this point, that's where I really start to get peeved at the official. And it only increases over the first 20, 25 minutes of the second half.
Stunningly bad. And this was not the end of Zuparic just getting away with murder in this game. And like, let's talk about Seba and like the fact that he was able to play through a lot of physicality and physical play that was coming his way and not getting rewarded with it. And we've seen him in the past. Those types of things can frustrate him. He's playing on the turf, which he does not like to do. And like, I just thought it was a gritty, gutsy kind of performance and everything. And for him to get up off of this free shot, which somehow does not result in a yellow card, was awesome. Great to see from 10.
2 minutes later, the Punisher. I mean, where does this come from in the midfield? Like, he's got 3 Portland defenders around him after he brought down a ball near the center circle. And like some pretty slick moves to dispatch 2 of them and then pass it on to Danny, who plays a great ball through to Bukhari down the right. And like, I don't know what else to say about this than Osman like kind of freezes up because he has an opportunity for a shot. He's got teammates crashing the box, but Crépeau comes out here to meet him and break up the play. And again, like now I'm worried because again, like it hasn't been right. The dream start to his Austin FC career that I think we all envisioned and like could have been possible with just his skill level. But this is just now going the other way. So,
and I mean, everyone's on high alert because of, hauntings from DP past and like have him come in here and everything like that. And this is not what we want to see out of him because this should have been a goal. This is an easy play to make. He's got Seba trailing. He has an opportunity to put something on net as well. And he just allows himself to get too far into his own head. And he doesn't even get anything productive off of this. So like this was really the kind of culmination for an awful night from him, because after this, he's pretty much silent outside of some poor turnovers as well. And like, we've talked about hot air and poor touches and just like opportunities missed. And that happens throughout the course of the game. But what you saw routinely out of hot air last night was a willingness to kind of run, to get your ass back on defense, to make effort plays. And when you compound the fact that Buka wasn't playing well with the fact that he wasn't really willing to throw himself into the fire, it is concerning, and like, I'm not going to give him a full pass because he is still getting integrated and still getting comfortable with his teammates and everything, because like, this is who you are. Like, we expected you to be the guy coming in here and take a huge amount of pressure off of our best player in Seba. And like, for you to not show up in these moments, it is a cause for concern, man.
I mean, you don't need to be teammates with guys for multiple years to have good decision making and to keep your confidence level up. And again, it's another example of where we have advantageous situations on offense and we don't get a shot off when we absolutely should.
We understand the daunting task, the near impossible task of making up an 18 goal differential in these last two games here. But if there was ever a fucking game to net 3 or 4 goals, this was it. We have all kinds of chances in this game, and we don't even get a shot on target, much less even a shot at points in time here. Yeah. So, dude, I'm concerned because it has been a downward trend since the RSL game as well. And like, this is just not what we want to see. And I don't know where it kind of started. I don't know if it was in that LAFC game where he has an opportunity to get Obi the ball and he kind of hesitates and it doesn't work out. And then obviously we do get him scoring that goal later off of a Buka pass, but it's definitely something to keep your eye on. Like, we have to.
54th minute, a note from last night was, holy shit, how have they not scored? This is where Evander kind of scoops it up over the top to Jonathan Rodriguez, and Stuver saves that shot but spills it, and it comes right down to Mora for a follow-up, and Svatak gets down for the block. Then the next minute, Rubio gets hit in the face. No card. They're reviewing something. I don't know what. I imagine it was that. I guess it could have been maybe for a handball on Svatak, but there was absolutely nothing there. One of the assistants for Austin gets a yellow card as well, which again, the fact that one of our assistants has a yellow and nobody from the Portland organization at this point does. And then literally the next minute, still no yellow cards for Portland after I think it was Obrian that gets called for a foul. And that was delayed for advantage. Then they blow the whistle and Moreno kind of pushes Biru after the fact. Yep. And Biru flops, right?
For sure.
But then teams come together, right? And as most of the guys are gravitating towards Moreno, who did the initial push on Biru, you see Kamal Miller running towards Biru, who's on the ground. And this is where Alexander Svatak comes in. And again, this is what has, I think, everybody somewhat buzzing here today. I guess we can share some of these.
Bring the pictures.
Some of these comments here. Let's see what we've got.
Was it not Mascara? I thought it was Mascara.
Is it Mascara coming over?
You're
right. It is Mascara.
Which I thought was hilarious because he had been flopping the entire fucking night. Like, he gets pushed in the back by Diego earlier, and he acts like he dies. But like, oh yeah, this if this doesn't get the blood pumping for you.
I mean, look at that one, dude. Bro, that's the eye of Eastern Europe. Like
the triple E. Oh my God, that is.
Bro, you're not fucking with that.
No, he did not want any part of that because he came running up immediately.
Look at this. I mean, I can't get enough of that shit, man.
This is the image of the year. Like, this is absolutely stunning. And Mascara wanted absolutely no smoke after that point in time. And look, brother, I can't blame you because he was ready to go, and like, he saw it coming, like I said earlier. And fuck, man, it's just good to see. And like you talked about earlier with like potentially being a captain going forward, this is the leadership that you want out of your guy in the back line. So credit to him. Also, double birds to this ref because this is where it just like all hell starts to break loose. Diego's got a big gash, like not a gash, but he's got some sort of.
His face looks bruised.
Yeah, his face is fucked up. And like, there's just all kinds of physical plays. You have this altercation afterwards. Somehow, no yellow cards for Portland.
Yeah.
And like, we got a yellow card on the sideline. Neville was going nuts the whole fucking game.
Yeah.
Going nuts.
Yeah. I did. We don't do this a ton, but I wanted to read some of the comments that flooded in on these pictures
Okay.
across the various sites. So on Twitter, right, Barely Regal said, I keep coming back to this, and Svatak's face unequivocally says, I don't want to fight, but make no mistake, you come after my teammate, I will put you in the fucking ground. And then he says, brings back good memories, and he puts the clip of Ruben shoving, I think it was Daniel Shallowy down to the ground back in 2022. Our buddy Tom H says, why is this so exciting for me? Actual joy seeing that we have an enforcer again. I 100% agree with that. Brad says, this is the kind of petty attitude that I want out of my center backs. A good center back starts fights and gets opposing players wound up. I'm strongly considering getting a Svatak jersey next season. And then on Instagram, our buddy Paul said, there's a center back that won't decide to, quote, shut it down for the rest of the season. So Podcast P coming in hot. Bess says, start this man every game. Dude has been a boss in his 2 starts. Our buddy Lee said, I was hoping he could be our big, terrible person. This was promising to see. Ostentatious says, I remember saying to myself after witnessing this, okay, he can stay. And then I think my favorite on the entire morning, our buddy Scott said, I just peed my pants a little, I think.
Yeah, I mean, even with the goal from Danny, this is the moment of the match for me.
Yeah.
Just awesome to see.
60th minute. Again, the bullshit continues, man.
Yep.
Stuver gets upended by Felipe Mora, and I actually don't think that should have been a card, but there's no foul call.
Nope.
And I know Stuver has the ball and we can just play on, but call the fucking foul.
Please.
Just please.
Particularly after what just happened, because you need to get the game back under control after you have lost control completely of this game. I do like the little chicken wing that Stuver gets him and gives Mora a little earful here. Just come in here again, and you're actually going to get it. So I did appreciate that. And just a nice level of tenacity from this team, and it was contagious from Svatak. You're going to get some spice out of Biru always, who is just becoming my favorite player of all time so quick. I just absolutely love this fucking dude. It was a good sight to see. And if we're going to be this team that goes on the road and just wins ugly games, you got to have a little bit of that dog in you to get the job done, because it's not going to be all roses all the time. So I was just really excited to see this from the team.
65th minute here, you get the first change for Austin, which is Hector Jimenez for Osman Bukhari. Moves us to a back 5. So you got Hector there at right back. John flips sides to left back, and you slot Biru in kind of at that left center back position. Literally 15 seconds later, Hector immediately gets burned by Jonathan Rodriguez after Gallagher had pretty much shut him down, absent that one scoop pass from Evander. And I will give the coaches credit here, while also saying you maybe should have seen this when you made the initial change. They shift Svatak and Julio, because Svatak was then in the middle. They moved Svatak to that right center back spot to give Hector some cover. And again, I thought that was the correct move. I thought it was a good move. Mm-hmm. I also think we probably should have seen that when we made the sub, but they made the change regardless.
Good Lord. I can't even imagine.
And can you imagine?
Can't even imagine.
Jinx, but goddamn.
I cannot even imagine the shitstorm that would have come down if Cabasita
I would have been on my leave Josh in Portland shit, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't let him on the plate. I mean, good Lord. And also, Cabasita should have finished this.
Absolutely.
We sometimes we're on the pod here and we talk about not looking at just the results. We talk about looking at, what the actual situation was. And good Lord, you put Hector into the wolf's den here. No pun intended.
69th minute. Gallagher taken out by Zuparic. This foul is called. Still no fucking card.
Nope.
They bring on Eric.
His third or fourth infraction.
Yeah, and 2 that are just absolutely he fouled Galley from behind here, if I recall correctly. The free shot that he gets on Seba in transition, it should just be accumulation at this point, much less the individual fouls themselves. Portland does bring on their first change, Eric Williamson in for Diego Chara, and Driussi takes a free kick here and whips it into the box around that high line that Portland was setting at the edge of the area. We have 3 players that can absolutely tap this home for the second goal, and they just can't get to it. And I understand that. I think they were all kind of, first of all, a little bit taken aback at how fucking wide they were, because I thought they had offside trapped them. I think they were all onside. The flag does not go up at any point. And then I think Rubio and Biru are so close together that they kind of both hesitate just enough where the ball gets past both of them. Like Biru's going low. Diego's kind of got his boot up, like doesn't want to hit him in the head. I'm not sure. You've got Svatak on the backside too, who may have had a shot to slide in there and score it. But that was definitely frustrating. And again, another opportunity where that is a great chance. And we don't get a shot. So it doesn't register as a shot. There's no XG. Like, again, the team had much more offensive potency last night than show up on the stat sheet.
There's just no way. It's near impossible for us to not score a goal here. Like and we somehow found a way to do it, which I guess should give me hope for the fact that we might be able to make up an 18 goal differential, because we continue to do the impossible all the time, because this is wide the fuck open. I don't understand. And again, you go back to Portland's struggles the entire season. We talked about how potent this offense is. They are terrible at set piece defense. And like, this is one of the, if not the best look we got all night. And for the fact that we scored a goal, the only goal we scored was a deflection from outside the box. And you have an opportunity like this and some more opportunities that we're about to get into going into the latter part of this game is just so, it is just, even despite the fact that we got the 3 points we've talked about, that this team is not able to score goals. This is the level that we just need to take us. We have to take this next step to be a coherent club.
Yep.
Like, you got to score here.
Yep.
Wasn't it Diego who tried to head this? I thought it was Diego and not Biru.
It was one of he or Biru. One tried to head it, one broke it.
I don't know why
it's
trying to head
got
it.
to be better.
Put a boot on it. Like, you just got to touch it. Christ.
72nd minute here. Austin out on a 2-on-1 break. Danny decides to hold up the play and drop it to Diego. I thought that was far from our worst decision on a fast break last night. And Diego rips a shot that gets deflected and falls to John Gallagher on the left. He drives towards the end line and wins a corner off of his cross attempt. On that dead ball, you get Zardes in for Rubio. And then off that corner, Portland gets out on a counter. Mosquera kind of drives forward himself. Yeah, sets up a teammate. Great save by Stuver. But the Timbers stay in possession, and then Evander gets onto it, turns, takes a shot from distance, and Stuver has to make another two-hand kind of punch save. And again, Brad, team of the match day at the end of this, 11 saves, I believe, was the number. Again, and I know now he is leading, I believe, the league in terms of that like kind of post-shot or like shot-stopping type of metrics. So from the director of comms and media for the team, Cam Kubek, he tweeted today that for further context to the communications tweet that said Stuver leads the league in goals saved above average at 7.92 and saves with 137. Cam said, further context, the goalkeeper with the next highest goals saved above average in MLS is 7.91. So Stuver is more than 2 goals saved above average, clear from the field. Look, man, that RSL 5-1 loss couldn't have come at a worse time, because this man deserved to be an all-star. And US putting out their roster for that October match at Q2. Zach Steffen, one of the worst shot stoppers in the league, on that roster. No Brad Stuver. Fuck out of here, Pochettino.
Absolutely. I mean, it just sums up how great Brad has been the entire season. And like, I don't want him to get lost in the mix of this entire game. Yeah. Nor do I want Johnny to get lost in the mix of this entire game, because both of them were fantastic. And, you love to see that tweet from the team there. And that's just good PR work. I hope he's getting paid for it.
Yeah. 78th minute here. Timbers bring on Anthony for Claudio Bravo. So shifting their formation, trying to get an equalizer. 80th minute. Chance for Austin here. Hader Obrian kind of kills it by walking back onside because he had already made a run on the previous passage of possession. But to his credit, like, he was fucking dead because he was working his balls off last night. The next minute, Danny plays him through, and that shot gets blocked away. Obi is cooked. I wrote here a note from last night. We need, all caps, subs.
Yeah.
And then in the 83rd, it takes 2-3 minutes to get Owen and Alex up and in for Danny and Obrian. And then we're out of subs, right? Because we used all 3 windows, but only 4 of the subs. So riding it out the last 10 plus minutes with what we got on the pitch.
I mean, I'm texting you, screaming at the television, get subs, please get them out, because Portland is incredibly advanced at this point. They make their subs, they go to like a hybrid kind of 3-back, and you see a lot of transition opportunities where, now we're also relying on Hector to keep up with, Capacita, the likes of Evander, who, in my opinion, is the second most terrifying player to see in the league behind Leo Messi, on the ball with a chance to score, even if it's a set piece or he's just outside the 18. But fuck, man. Obi, salute, bro. Like, what a game, what a performance, what an effort to just continuously just put himself out there. And he ran himself into damn near exhaustion. Like, he's just on the ground. Did you catch this thing where on the sideline, like, Alex and Owen didn't have their shin guards on, their pads on? Like, what?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man.
Was he
I thought the delay
joke here.
No, I mean, I think they probably were just adjusting their equipment before they're coming on. I don't think that's what kept them off the pitch. I thought it was just the run of play and the official not deciding to let them on in the previous stoppage where it seemed like they should have been let on. But
I mean, I'm screaming, take a foul so we can get him out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, just anything, because he's completely gassed, and we needed guys to be able to get back, because you really start to see the bus get parked here. Like, we're trying our hardest to get out of there.
Yeah. 84th minute, Evander's got the ball on the right side of the Austin 18-yard box, and while he's dribbling, 2 hand shoves Gallagher. No call there. I just don't understand how that's not a foul. It doesn't matter if Johnny fell down or not. When you extend your arms, both hands away from you, and shove the defender, that's a fucking foul. At least how I understand it. And then we're lucky that Mosquera's shot goes well out of bounds here. 3 minutes later, Mosquera kicks Driussi in the back while he's on the ground at least once.
At least.
No fucking card. And then this is where I want to bicker about Dunseth and Bretos, because they don't clearly remember that the MLS changed rules this year, where if you stay down for more than 15 seconds, you got to come off, and it's basically a power play. One thing I would like is like NHL, right? Give me a power play, like give me a countdown for when Driussi can come back on, because that to me was the moment where I was kind of clenching the tightest when we're down a man there at the end. I thought in stoppage time there wasn't too much danger posed, and Austin did pretty well to see it out.
Particularly with the fact that Seba is the release valve. You can get him the ball and have 2 guys on his back, and he's able to actually allow us to catch a breath, and we were unable to catch our breath for a very long period of time throughout the latter part of this game here. And just, fuck, man, this was not a very enjoyable win. This was one of the most stressful games that I have watched, and like, good Lord, I'm just so glad that we did not give up, because I thought it was coming. I was like, okay, this team has ripped my heart out consistently throughout this season. We are going to give up a goal here, and like, we're going to get a point, and like, it's just going to suck. But kudos to the boys and this ref, man. Good God.
Yeah. 7 minutes of stoppage. I did want to note 2 things here. In the 3rd minute of stoppage, Zardes gets a chance off a great ball from Owen, and credit to Driussi for the run he made to open up that space for G. By FOTMob's model, this was the highest XG chance that we had on the night, and Giassi sent it into the 11th row. So, like, again, that just tells you about the quality of Austin's actual chances last night when they did manage a shot on net. 5th minute of stoppage, 3-on-1 break for Austin. Owen, Zardes, and Seba, just Williamson back. Once again, we cannot get a shot off. And then, for good measure from the head official, 7th minute of stoppage, yellow card to Stuver for time wasting. Go fuck yourself, man.
And he gave him an extra 30 seconds. Also, why was there 7 minutes of stoppage? The announcers were like, we're not going to get a whole lot of stoppage. They throw up 7 minutes on the board. I'm losing my mind. God. At least we got out of there. Whatever. 18 goals to go.
41% possession for Austin. 26 shots to 7 in favor of the Timbers. 10 on target to 1. One big chance created for Austin, one missed. I assume that is the Driussi Zardes chance there at the end. 9 corners to 3 in favor of the Timbers. Austin did block 9 of the 26 Portland shots. But on FotMob's XG model, 2.54 expected goals for the Timbers, 0.38 for Austin. Expected goals on target, 1.43 for the Timbers, 0.31 for Austin. And then like elsewhere around the league, because again, like you and I have been just completely out on the chances of this team since the Houston loss. But this is a little cookie that now I am very much invested in with my petty fandom that I employ. San Jose, the Wooden Spoon winners, they have clinched the Wooden Spoon. They eliminate FC Dallas with a 3-1 victory. So I love to see that. That puts us above Dallas in the standings now, and that's how I want to finish, right? My stance on what I expect is going to happen with the coach, what I want to happen with the coach, with the player personnel, none of that has changed. But let us finish above Dallas this year. That's just a little cookie that I am chasing as a fan over the next 2 games.
We will absolutely 100% take that.
Congrats to Brad Stuver, team of the match day with his 11 saves and 8th clean sheet of the season. That matches the club record of 8 clean sheets. That was back in 2022. And then in the post-game presser, I actually want to focus on Danny, the goal scorer, was available, the player made available by the club. And he was, of course, asked about that post-game dust-up between he and John Gallagher last Saturday night at Q2. And here's what he had to say. He said, "We're men in here. That's the relationship we have. We are that comfortable around each other that we can go at each other and take it as men and as good criticism and, not be a little bitch about it." And that made me smile, man. And again, what else made me smile is that post-game locker room photo, because we mentioned that earlier, talking about how Leo was not present, but a couple things in there, the most pertinent of which, front and center, and you can go to Brad Stuver's Instagram to see this post because I don't think the team posted it for whatever reason. But front and center, Danny, John, arm in arm, making faces, everything good there. Also, I did a note to myself. Seba's got his arm around Buka there too on the right side of that photo. And so again, in no locker room, right, are everybody best friends? Does everybody like what the coach is doing? Like their playing time, the direction of the team? Maybe they want to get out, right? But I think in the confines of the players in that locker room, those guys, I still just kind of evaluate to be very much together and playing for one another. Because again, you can still take that photo if that's the team tradition and whatnot, but you don't have to do the things that I think you see that kind of jump off the screen when you're looking at that. And so that was kind of reassuring to me that the guys are still fighting for one another. Because again, if you're not, you probably don't win that game last night.
I totally agree. I think they showed it out there on the field, and then you get this photo after the game, and I think that they went out of their way to do, Johnny and Danny together. And then I liked seeing Seba's arm around Buka there because as harsh as I was on him of this performance in this matchup, and as harsh as many fans probably were, and I think deservedly so. It was an awful performance. He was the worst player on the field for us. To see 10 go over there and hopefully be trying to pick him up a little bit, and like you got to ride the highs, you got to get through the lows when you're doing this for a living. So it was great to see, man, and that those types of things can happen throughout the course of the season, particularly a season that's been as frustrating as this one, where it just kind of boils over. So I assume that those guys are good and we're able to talk it out and just move on like adults.
Anything else for you on this game before we move on?
And just good to hear that victory song, brother.
Yeah, no doubt. So hopefully we can go back to back with those over the weekend. Let's talk very briefly about this Galaxy match coming up on Saturday. Obviously, the Galaxy first place in the West. I believe if they did not clinch last night, that they can do so with a result against us or on decision day. 61 points from their 32 matches played, a positive 19 goal differential. But this is a team that we beat earlier this year.
That's right.
Obviously, they look a little bit different. They had no Dejan Joveljic in that match back in late April. Marco Reus is now on this team, right? So you go from a team in Portland that has scored 64 goals this season to a team in Carson that has scored 66. I believe the only team that has scored more now than the Galaxy is Inter Miami, who clinched the Supporters Shield last night. So what do you got here from this match preview? I know you're the one authoring it, heading into the weekend. Talk to me a little bit more about the Galaxy.
Well, it was actually a really nice way to revisit, a happier point in the season.
A bright spot.
Exactly. All-time record versus the Galaxy. We got 2 wins, 4 losses, and 1 draw. Or did I type that right?
No, yeah, I think you're correct there.
Okay.
Because we had the win from earlier this season. We have the win for the Mackenzie Gaines win back in 2021, and everything else has been a loss outside of the draw that felt like a fucking loss last September.
That's right. Okay. 2-1-4 all time versus this club here. But like you mentioned there, this is a team that absolutely reloaded after last season. You get Marco Reus in here now. Got to talk about Gabriel Peck as well as Joseph Paintsil, our boy Diego Fagundes, obviously in that rotation there, an integral part of why this team has been so successful this season. But let's just go down a trip down memory lane here. Go back to April 27th. We're at the beach having a wonderful time. We actually miss out on this game. We opened up the scoring with a fantastic run of play that involved a lot of different players. A nice little turnover in the Galaxy's half. Seba to Alex to Diego. Diego touches it to hot air, makes a nice run behind the line, gets the ball. We open up the scoring in the 7th minute of this game. And then we didn't really look back from there. Galaxy gets some pretty decent chances in the second half, but a 19th minute goal from hot air, from another fantastic play from Alex Ring, chase down kind of block, long sweeping ball over the top behind the Galaxy defense, and he's in one-on-one with McCarthy there, bangs it off the post into the net, and like we're partying, having a wonderful time at the beach. Obviously wanted to be at the stadium, but that's a nice little runner up there. This Galaxy team, like you mentioned, can absolutely score the ball at an incredible rate. Second in the league to Inter Miami, as you mentioned as well. So it's going to be another tall task. And like the main thing for us at this point in time, where it's just looking at where this team is, the 18 goal differential that you're going to have to make up to have some sort of absolutely impossible comeback to this season.
I don't even care about that.
I know, but we still got to mention it because we're not we're not fucking leaving. So it's gonna be a fun game. I think it's gonna be a good game. I think you saw some ways to beat this team earlier on. I do think that the upgrades that they made on the defensive line are probably going to be the difference because they were rolling out the oldest center back duo of the league in the league at this point in time. So we're at a point in this season where we're playing for pride. You're playing for the name on the back and the name on the front, and you just got to get this job done if you can.
Yeah. One thing I remember from that match in April, watching on the Apple TV broadcast, was at the conclusion, at the final whistle, where John Gallagher reaches out his hand to give some dap to Ricky Pooch, and Ricky ignores him, and John just shrugs and goes about his day as the victor there. Man, I mean, in terms of us, right? There's a couple of things I want to see from the lineup. I'd like to see Alex back in there. I want to see Danny give it another go. I want to see Svatak. I think maybe that's my most important thing that I want to see. But ultimately, out of these last 2 games, again, Landon, I want to win. I never want my team to fucking lose. Man, again, the playoffs are not going to happen. I have not heard anybody seriously say that the playoffs are attainable, right? Yeah. Because it would be one of the most spectacular things to happen in professional sports history.
Absolutely.
It ain't happening. But again, we can go into the offseason with some positive momentum. And I don't know, man, the last time we did that was 2021 when we defeated Sporting KC at Q2 on decision day, a team that was in the mix for the 1 seed. They needed a win. And again, I think we were playing to stay out of the spoon race at that point, if memory serves. But then we did pretty well coming out of the gates next year. And I know that is not indicative of what will happen in early 2025, but I still want the vibes to be pointing upwards at the end of the season, despite not making the playoffs. And the only way to do that is to get results in these final 2 games, in my book, especially finishing out strong on decision day. But I mean, again, let's go play spoiler. Let's make the Galaxy sweat a little bit for this 1 seed, because LAFC right behind them, 6 points back with a game in hand. So LAFC has 3 games left. Like, let's go play spoiler, just like we did for Portland last night, delaying them clinching a spot. Again, they will get it because Dallas is eliminated. We're not going to catch them. But I just want to see these guys, whether you're going to be here or not, continue to play together, to continue to fight, continue to scrap, and playing for each other.
Yeah, I want to see a Svatok start. I want to see particularly what you're talking about here with the core guys who we're going to expect to be back next season. Got to see a bounce back game from Buka. Hopefully Dessler's healthy. That's going to be a huge boost for this team. I thought the work that Johnny did last night versus Cabecita was fantastic, but you pair that with a healthy Dessler, and you're looking at, a formidable back line when you got Svatok mixed into this rotation here. So I'm right there with you. You're playing for pride at this point in time, and you got to find a way to get yourself up for this game. You got to find a way to get yourself motivated for this game, and that just comes down to your character and the type of person that you want to be and the type of player that you're going to be. So, I do anticipate a LA Galaxy team that's incredibly hungry. I don't think that they've forgotten that we spanked them 2-0 back at Q2 in April. So I think they're going to come out really hungry, and they just got some serious talent up and down this field. So a tall task for the boys, but we ain't fucking leaving. Yeah.
One thing left to do, a new formula. How much is Austin FC losing by on Saturday?
3-1.
All right. He's running back the 3-1 loss prediction. And I'm going to go bigger, right? I had the 1-0 for Wednesday's match. I just don't think that's going to get it. Like, I don't think we're going to be able to shut down the Galaxy. I know we already did at home, but again, they're playing to clinch the 1 seed. They want to clinch home field throughout the Western Conference playoffs. So I'm going to say 3-2 Austin victory. Look, we're going to get some fucking shots off on these fast breaks. Those opportunities will be there against this Galaxy team, and we're going to finish our fucking chances. Of course, we're going to give some up to this elite offense on the other side, but 3-2 victory. And then, maybe you see Dallas beat Portland, and maybe we're only 16 goals down headed into decision day. But I just want to see a dub. Don't care how you get it done, boys. Bring us home another 3 points. Issa, let's keep it pushing here. We're already an hour and 15 in, and just moving in to check in on.
The best keeper in the world.
Damian Las and Louisville City were actually in action in the midweek, taking on, I believe it was Miami FC, the last place team in USL. And we did get an update from our resident Louisville City fan, Trevor Allison. He said this was a true matchup of best and worst in the league. If you combine the respective goal differentials, Louisville City would be plus 82. In that context, the 3-0 win is almost disappointing. Another ho-hum clean sheet for the boys in purple. Louisville City dominated possession and the field for basically the whole match, so Damian didn't see an official shot until the 61st minute. After the only nice passing sequence from Miami, the shot went just wide, but I think he had it covered. There was a shot a few minutes earlier that went so wide, it didn't get counted as a shot by Fatma. Only save was an easy one-hopper in the 72nd. Didn't face a single corner or any free kicks that came towards the box. He isn't as involved in the build-up or possession as Wolf or Roto might like, but it is what it is, I guess. Some other notes. Manny Perez started and left in the 37th minute with an injury limping off the field. So hope ex-Austin FCer Manny Perez gets back soon. Louisville City has already clinched a playoff spot and will play on November 2nd with time and opponent to be determined. They set the USL record for home goals scored in a season and home wins in a season with 2 more home games to play. 12 goals back of the all-time USL single-season record, 10 points back of the record points total, with 4 total games left in regular season play. So a very extensive Damien update from our buddy Trevor today. We appreciate Trevor, and we're on record watch here with the boys in purple.
Yeah, that is stunning to hear that stat come through there. Thanks, Trevor. Appreciate you, bro.
Come on down to Robert Field where the champions play. Get ready for the game. It's last business day.
What could be the final last business day preview of 2024. We've got Dos Decision Day coming up this Sunday, 3 p.m. at the pitch. Austin FC2 taking on the Town FC. Of course, that is San Jose's MLS Next Pro affiliate. But before we get into a short preview of this one, we got some news right before we hit record this afternoon. Congratulations to Irvin Torres. U.S. Soccer Today announced the list of players invited to the upcoming U19 Men's Youth National Team training camp, with Irvin Torres named to the squad. He will join the team for camp in Valencia, Spain, where the team will play matches against the U19 national sides from Sweden and Japan. Torres, of course, 16 years old, has made 23 Next Pro appearances for FCTO this season, starting 22 of them, 3 goals and 1 assist. It is Irvin's first international call-up at the U19 level, previously represented the U.S. U16s at the 2023 International Dream Cup in Japan, where he made 2 appearances with the U16s. So congrats to Irvin, and we'll be keeping an eye on that. But, of course, our eyes fully focused right now on Sunday. And before we talk about the Town as well, let's take a look at the table. I will pull that up here in a moment. But look, we can make it, of course, don't need a rocket scientist to tell you that we can make it a lot easier on ourselves with a win in terms of what we need out of the rest of the table. For those watching on the YouTube, we'll get a zoom here into the Western Conference table. And it's messy, my friend. If Austin FC wins, you can see that we are a point above Sporting and Timbers too. So a win would just dispatch those 2 teams. We don't need to worry about them. If we get all 3 points on Sunday, we would need Dynados. Again, we are tied on points with Houston's 2 team there, but we cannot make up the first tiebreaker, which is total wins. They have 2 wins more than FCTO does. So we need a Houston loss or draw. Obviously, it would not matter what they did in a potential PK shootout. And Real Monarchs is a point above us. So we need a Real Monarchs loss or draw, and then a loss in penalties. And that would get FCTO into that 8th and final playoff spot out west. We can also advance with a PK shootout win, but then, of course, it becomes much more complicated because now you need both Sporting 2 and Timbers 2 to lose or draw. And then you need Houston to lose or lose in PKs. And you need a straight up loss from Real Monarchs in that situation. So look, man, Al Davis, right?
Just win, baby.
Yep. That's all you can do. So talking about the Town here, right? A little bit of the history between these 2 clubs. 0-0 draw this season. Back on April 20th, the Town ended up winning at their place in PKs 4-2. All time, last 2 seasons between these clubs, 1-1-1 record for FCTO. And you and I were there at the pitch in 2023. That match was quite heated between these 2 clubs. But the Town much improved this season. And this team is slow, man. They are tied with Rapids 2 for the least goals scored in the Western Conference. Rapids 2 is at the bottom of the table, right? So this team also, but then on the defensive end, they've only conceded 25 goals in 27 games. That's a big reason why this team is sitting in the 3 spot in the West. And they want a result to secure that 3 seed, right? That will give them the ability to choose from one of the 2 teams remaining for those first round matchups. And again, like compared to FC2, the Town, 37 goals for, 25 against. We know that Austin FC has not been the most offensively potent team in Next Pro this year, but we have 41 goals scored. We've given up 45. The Town has not conceded in 282 minutes. Looking at some of their player personnel, 2 guys tied for the lead in goal contributions. Number 71, Riley Lynch, 7 goals, 3 assists in his 26 appearances. Again, you can imagine those numbers somewhat muted considering the lack of goal scoring for the Town this season. Also, number 50, Aaron Edwards, tied with 10 contributions, 6 goals, 4 assists. He's listed as a defender and has also not started in any of the past 4 matches. So I think Edwards may be injured. And we'll take anything we can get, man, if that guy is not able to go here on Sunday. And of course, in net, Emmanuel Ochoa, one of, if not the best keeper in Next Pro at this point, especially with Damian Loss, of course, moving on loan with Louisville. Ochoa has 11 clean sheets. No other team in the league has more than 8. So it's really going to be a challenge to try to crack this San Jose defense. I think we can do it, though.
I mean, this team reminds me of Austin FC too last year. Best defense in the league, fantastic keeper behind them. They just get the job done on the defensive side of the ball, like you said right there. 282 consecutive minutes without giving up a goal. It's going to be a difficult job to get done. But I think that this team, despite it's just, I go back to the North Texas loss, and that just really hurt our chances here. But you can control what you can control, and that's going out there and getting a dub versus this team. And I do expect them to do that. I think that this team is going to show up, Austin FC2 that is, and be ready to get this win because we know what's at stake here. We know what's on the table. You got to get 3 points, and then if it happens, it happens. So control what you can, go out there, give it your best effort, and I'm going to be rooting for the boys. I would have liked to have gone, but obviously, not going to do that to the poor people in the stands.
Yeah. So, again, man, like anytime we can have Jimmy and CJ and Micah and Irvin and Alonzo and Bobo right up that middle, we've got our guys on the back line intact. I feel pretty good about going up against almost any of these teams in the West, right? They've competed right down to the death with North Texas on the road. Same against St. Louis City too, right? And so now taking on the 3 seed at home, guess one thing left to do, and you can make the call on the fly here. Are you changing the formula for FCito, or are you predicting a decision day victory here for the boys? What do you got?
I got a decision day victory for the boys. Absolutely. I don't know if it applies. It's still working out the kinks here in regard to the formula for both clubs. But I think we're going to win a 1-0 ugly, gritty kind of game here, and give me a CJ goal. Guys on fire, and that's how we're going to get this job done.
I'm riding with you. 1-0, 3 points. And that'll do it for episode 179 of the North End Podcast. It's been a long one, so if you're still tuned in, rocking with us, you're a real one. We'll be back on Sunday evening, recapping Decision Day, recapping Austin FC's matchup against the LA Galaxy, and talking about everything else that happens in the Austin FC universe between now and then. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. We'll do the same. We'll see you back here on Sunday. Till then, he's E, and I'm Zach. Vamos Austin FC, everybody. Goodbye.
Welcome to the North End where the passion's running high. We're here to talk football, Austin FC, our pride. ZG and E will take you on this ride. Week by week, side by side. It's action 1, 2, 3. We're the rowdiest in town. The Pirates game and Uncle Dave and Big Fudge all around. We sing our songs, we chant as one. Through thick and thin, the match day's just begun. In the North End, we stand together. Through every game, through any weather. From the first whistle to the final blow. The North End will never let go. Under the lights of Q2, our home, our sacred ground. In green and black, we fight, our voices loud and proud. Driussi's magic, Bakari's speed, Stuva's saving grace. score, the lights turn Verde, it's our place. So knows the mastermind, building our dream. Dan rules everything around me as he strengthens our team. Let